Okay, welcome back to Games and Thoughts. This is another episode coming back at you with the Just Cause 3.
Totally.
I'm Traxton.
And I'm Michael. Again, we didn't do introductions last time.
We didn't.
They won't know who we are.
Oh no.
Oh no. If they don't watch the first one, how will they know?
Yeah. Okay. So I made shockingly little progress in the game in the last episode. So Michael will be picking back up on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Just kind of skip these. The cutscenes or whatever. Like I said before, they're whatever.
That's not the
main focus. Yeah.
So today we will be talking about art and music.
Totally.
Which are fun topics, I think. Interesting topics. So, I guess to start, just give me your basic view. I guess, how do you see art and music as forms of expression? Like, what exactly are they doing?
I guess this is something I've thought about kind of extensive. It's making me do things. I can't really talk. Select whatever, go to the map screen. I am doing it. I'm going back. Can I not? Okay. So great work. Okay. It taught me how to put a waypoint. Hooray.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, art and music. You asked me what my thoughts were on arts and music, and I was saying it's kind of a subject that I've thought about. There's a little graphical error there. This is not supposed to be there. Art, I believe, is kind of making subjective thoughts and emotions physical and objective, so that they can be interpreted by other people, type of thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting place to start. So it's almost like you said, taking an emotional experience and turning it into something that people can look at or listen to or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about like paintings or whatever, like a drawing, like someone made that, and I guess this is kind of like, so I'm not a big fan of like hyper realistic art or whatever.
Yeah,
it's kind of a debate, like, is that actually art? Because you're just copying what you are seeing, like what's in the physical world, but there's no real emotional expression there.
Right, like if we're using the term the way we just described it, there's not really any. The way you objectively see something doesn't really carry any emotion with it. So to just copy that down.
But then, like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder thing.
True,
like,
yeah. I mean,
you have those modern artists or whatever that put like a sofa and a rusty chain, and they're like, it's art.
Yeah.
But like,
which I don't really get.
What is that? Like,
yeah.
I would try to be more. Come on, you turd. I would be a bit more explicit. Type of thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe try to make it more like obvious, like maybe try to use clues or whatever.
Right. It seems, it's like there is this happy medium between not being too just recreating the physical world and not being too abstract to where nobody even knows what you're trying to represent.
Or at least, I like to think so.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Other people are more like, can I not? Okay. Other people are probably like, maybe there are people that are like everything is art.
Yeah.
And that is true to an extent. But you know, and that's another, like, art is subjective, so no one is going to experience it the same way or like interpret things the same way.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is just by virtue of everyone having a different emotional experience of the world that has to be the case.
Yeah.
Which kind of carries into music too. Like, nobody.
Oh, I don't have ammo for that.
Nobody could ever agree on who the greatest musician of all time is, just because it's not.
Taylor Swift.
Obviously.
Yeah.
If she didn't exist, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it depends on your experience of the world, I guess. Yeah, I guess I've never really connected with physical art the same way I have with music, which I'm not really sure why.
I'm not really into music as much. Like, I can kind of tell, like, what I like and what things sound good to me. But
Yeah.
I am completely clueless about,
Yeah.
like, chords, I guess.
Yeah.
Notes. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think that's an interesting route too, is that I've heard some musicians talk about how the more people get into the theory behind music, like chord progressions and everything like that, the less artistic it really becomes, because they're more or less just following a formula. And I think that's kind of analogous to what you were saying about just copying what the physical world looks like, and calling it a painting or something.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, because there's a definite difference between objective things and subjective things.
Right. And the more
objective it becomes, the less subjective it becomes, and perhaps therefore like less artistic.
Right.
I think that's what I would say.
Yeah. Like, for example, I was watching a video of a guitarist yesterday. I can't recall his name right now, but he's one of the more like technically proficient ones out there.
Was it Slash?
No, it was not Slash.
That's the only one I know.
I want to say Guthrie Govan.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a bunch of hate for saying this if any hardcore guitarists are saying. But it was like, he was just, I mean, obviously amazing at guitar and just, playing his butt off. But I thought about it, like, I would never listen to this, like, to try to enjoy the music of it. Like, it's just so bogged down in technicality that it doesn't really carry any emotion with it to me.
Oh, God.
But there is a happy medium too. I mean, you have to obviously be good at your instrument to produce music.
And I guess I can kind of get into like another thing. I tried to set the timer, visible spot. But one of my topics was something that my English 250 professor said one class period, and I was like, I don't think that is. She said that language is a science, and I was like, I don't know about that. Because, like, on the one hand, there is, like, the proper language type of thing, where, like, you're supposed to, like, these are all the rules. Right. Except if other things, because English,
Yeah.
There's like a million exceptions in English. It doesn't make sense. But anyways, you have someone saying that, and then there's also these works of literature like I don't know, like Catcher in the Rye or like Huck Finn or something, where the narrator isn't writing in proper English, but yet these novels are held in very high regard.
Right.
For their artistic the attributes. I don't know. And it's because they're not written like in perfect English.
Right. So yeah, I guess I just assumed what she meant by science was.
Yeah, we were like reviewing like commas or something. I don't know. She thought we were 12.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I guess there are different conceptions of language, I guess. Whether it's just meant to describe the world or something else. I see it as a way of... It's a way of describing your experience to another person. So whatever rules have been established are only in place to make that process happen efficiently. So I guess if you can do that through means that aren't technically grammatically correct, then I guess I don't see why it's a violation of the language.
Yeah. Well, she was obviously talking about like textbook, like this is how you write English, whatever.
Right.
But for more artistic purposes, you have to kind of take your own liberties and like not write not write proper English in some cases. I mean, you have other books that like are written in the third person omniscient or whatever.
Right.
That are written specifically. They're written formally, like they are actual books. But the reason I said Catcher in the Rye and Huck Finn is because those narrators are like stupid, man.
Yeah.
They don't know nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it's just as far as even creating your own language to speak through, I guess your own tone as an author, you have to rely on certain phrases and things that might not technically be grammatically correct. Like, for example, when I type into Microsoft Word, sometimes I'll say "in this way," and it'll give me a little line and say "not precise enough" or whatever. But it's like that. In some cases, that does capture the way I'm trying to lead into what I'm trying to say. You know.
Yeah, and I never really write in like an unreliable narrator type of tone. When I do, I mean, I rarely do, but like I gotta do things. 2 additional. It's hard. That's where I was going. It's hard to write because you have to become a different person, basically.
Right.
And that takes like a lot of artistic thought, I think, because you have to understand their emotions and their thought processes and whatever.
Right. Yeah, there is something. I mean, everybody knows that you don't write the way that you would just speak to someone. And for whatever reason, that's just like, in order to establish your tone, you just kind of have to do that.
Yeah.
Which, I guess, to tie it back, I think writing is another form of art where you have to just draw people in, I guess. Like, nobody wants to read boring stuff.
No. I am really struggling. I don't know what it wants me to do. I kind of just like... I rushed ahead. I don't know. Select Ubis Eagle and 2 additional weapons.
I think that... Yeah, there you go.
It wants me to... What are you talking about? There are 2 additional weapons. I'm getting weapons here. Bada boom.
There it is.
No. What else can we say about art?
Yeah, you said you don't really... Musically, you don't really connect that much to anything.
Yeah, music, I don't really know as much about music.
Have you ever been to a concert?
No, it's not particularly my scene.
Yeah, I get that. I guess there is something about the experience of it that...
You go, like, deaf for a while?
Yeah, kind of.
Sometimes.
I mean, when I went to a Perfect Circle concert, and we were, like, front row, and it was very, very loud indeed. But it really was a kind of, like... I remarked to the person I was with when we left, like, I definitely wasn't in, like, my normal state of awareness. Like, it felt weird to not be listening to the music anymore when we left, which I thought was interesting.
So you just kind of got used to, like, having the music playing?
Right, well, yeah, that's a pretty mundane way to say it, I guess. I mean, I guess it was like a state of awareness where you're just receptive to whatever they are trying to send you, I guess. Which isn't really where most people are throughout the normal course of the day, I guess. Like, you're usually looking at things through your lens of, your eye in your head or whatever. And that just kind of disappears, I guess, in the musical sphere. In some cases, obviously. I'm sure I wouldn't have that experience at most concerts.
Oh, yeah. Oh god, I died. Well, I didn't though. I kind of go ham on this keyboard here, but I didn't. Oh, I got great. Whatever.
There you go.
I don't think I got 5. Oh, I got 9. Ooh. What is special about music, I guess, as opposed to like other things like the drawing or painting or whatever?
That's hard to say. I think it depends on I don't know. Well, I guess what I would say in the concert setting is you can't really be doing anything else. And there's nothing else to be mentally preoccupied with other than the experience of the concert.
Does it fall into like that same kind of making subjectivity objective, do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, at that concert that I referenced, the singer actually made a remark about how musicians are, I think he said, merchants of emotion. And I thought that was really, that really hit home. It really is, if it's done well, it's like they're transmitting their emotional experience directly to you, and you're just kind of in that state for however long. Which I'm sure could happen with any other kind of art. I just haven't really experienced it that way.
Is there... I mean, I'm only familiar with, like, kind of, like, novel, like, reading things and, like, a little bit of visual art, but, like, is there any kind of, like, symbolism, I guess, in music, or...
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, like, just lyrically, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And again, I mean, this depends on who you're listening to.
Yeah.
Like, Lil Pump isn't going to have the same kind of musical integrity, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and even there are songs where the lyrical content is being contrasted drastically with what the instruments are doing. Like, you can have a very happy sounding song with with pessimistic lyrics, and it's just kind of a weird hodgepodge of emotions, I guess.
Yeah, that's there's something similar in well, there are many similar things in literature, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, lots of literary devices about contrasting different things, and I guess in visual art as well. There's one I know is I don't even know the correct way to say it, but it's like chiaroscuro or something, and it's like the contrast of light and dark things.
Yeah.
And of course, with like colors, you have like complementary colors,
right,
and other stuff like that, and like the not complementary colors, whatever those are called.
Right.
If there are those things.
Which is basically like you do have the same thing in music where like certain notes just sound good together.
Yeah.
And nobody really knows why, but that's just the way it is. And you just kind of have to. But if all somebody does is play a series of notes that sound good together, it's not going to be a great song.
Yeah.
And you could say the same thing about a book. Like, you can have a series of great literary devices that just don't go anywhere. And nobody's gonna
there has to be like a greater theme type of thing.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think that's our third episode.
For sure.
So this will have been our first week, I guess.
Indeed.
Monday, Wednesday, recording. Friday, yeah. So yeah, see you next time.
Yeah, be sure to follow the show wherever we have it available, and
because we're gonna start.
We're gonna get on that
practicing that like
we'll put a
cliche like, oh, don't forget to subscribe and like and check out our Twitter.
Just shameless.
Yeah, shameless plugs for ourselves.
Yeah. We'll have
get our games and thoughts novelty T-shirt.
Yeah. Right. Oh, God. Okay, so yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.